Sam and welcome to my Southern Rustic kitchen. This week I'm whipping up some springtime family favorites, so come join me in the kitchen and let's make some delicious meals. Hey guys, welcome back. So this week we are starting off yet again with dessert. Now this is a recipe that I've made for many years. My mother made it the exact same way. I have no idea where she got the recipe, but I'm going to put this version up on my blog, so you can just click the link in the description box below and it'll take you right there. For ingredients, you're going to need some sugar, flour, baking powder, baking soda, a little bit of salt. You're going to need some vanilla and peaches. Now you can do fresh peaches. If you do fresh peaches, kind of blanch them a little bit and remove the outer peel. And if you do canned peaches, just make sure you drain them well. You're going to need a little bit of extra sugar to sprinkle over the top, an egg, milk, and some melted butter, and that is it. So I'm going to get you guys set up and we will get this started. Alright, so before we start, I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I've got a 9-inch round deep dish pie plate sitting on the side ready to go. If you don't have a 9-inch deep dish pie plate, you can use a 9x13. Just make sure you butter it really well. So to my dry ingredients, I'm just going to mix these up really well. Make sure everything is nice and combined. You want to make sure this is nice and combined because you don't want the baking soda to be clumpy. You can also put the flour, baking powder, baking soda in through a strainer, a mesh strainer, to make sure there's no lumps. But just make sure everything is really well combined. Okay. To this, I'm going to go ahead and add my milk, my butter, and my egg, and a little bit of vanilla. I'm going to use about a teaspoon or so, but if you like vanilla, you can add a little bit more. And I'm just going to break this egg and kind of mix everything together, make sure it's nice and combined. Just mix it until it's just combined because you don't want to over mix it because it'll make it really gummy. Okay, so that is nice and combined. I'm going to get my pie plate and we are just going to put this batter into the pie plate. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and pour this batter right into my baking dish here. Make sure I get all of that batter into the dish. Now with this, you can add citrus to this batter, like if you want to add a little bit of lemon zest or orange zest or both will do very well. But my store didn't have any good lemons this go round, so I skipped out on the citrus. Now all you want to do is just take your peaches and just kind of layer them on the top as best as you can. You don't have to make it pretty. You can just chunk them in there, smush them around. Whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this up, and then we will sprinkle the top with a little bit of sugar and get this in the oven. Alright, so I've got the peaches in there, and you just want to sprinkle over your sugar on the top, and this is going to give it a nice little crunch. Now you can do turbinado sugar. I use raw cane sugar, but if you don't have either one, plain sugar will do just fine. So just evenly sprinkle this all over the top. I've got about 2.5 to 3 tablespoons in here. Okay, so I'm going to get this in the oven at 350 and we're going to bake this for about an hour. Just keep an eye on it. When a toothpick comes out clean in the center, you're good to go. So I'm going to get this in the oven and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, here is my peach cobbler. It cooked for about 55 minutes. Now your oven may vary in temperature, so just keep an eye on it. Just test it with a toothpick once it's nice and golden brown, and if it comes out clean, you are good to go. So I just took this out. I'm going to let this sit here and cool down a bit. In the meantime, I am going to work on my panzanella salad. Alright, since the peach cobbler is out of the oven and it smells absolutely delicious, I've got it sitting over to the side and it's cooling. We're going to work on the panzanella salad with the grilled chicken. Now, for the grilled chicken, I've got some chicken breasts here that I just cut in half to make 4 thinly sliced chicken breasts. And I've got it seasoned with olive oil, white wine vinegar, salt, pepper, and an Italian herb blend. But you can season the chicken however you want. Now just massage that into the chicken, popped it in a Ziploc bag, put it in the fridge for a couple of hours. You can do this 30 minutes before you're wanting to cook it, and that will work just fine. So I brought it out 30 minutes ago and it's at room temperature, and we are going to get these going in just a minute. Now for the panzanella salad, you're going to need some mozzarella cheese. I have just the pre-sliced kind, but you can use whatever kind that you have on hand. You're going to need some bread. Now this is just some sourdough bread that I had left over, and I just cut it into cubes. You can use whatever kind of bread you like. I wouldn't recommend using the white sandwich bread, but if that's all you have on hand, it'll work. I've got some cucumbers, some peppers, an onion, tomatoes, garlic. For the sauce to go on the top, you're going to need some salt and pepper, olive oil, some basil, Dijon mustard, and some white wine vinegar. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to take a little bit of olive oil, drizzle it all over the bread, and season it with some salt and pepper. Pop this on a lined sheet tray and bake this at 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, just until it's nice and golden brown on all sides. You want to come in halfway through, toss it around a little bit just to make sure it gets golden on all sides. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Also, I'm going to get my chicken on the grill. I'm just going to put it in a grill pan and grill it up. Once it's cooked completely through, I'm going to take it off and let it rest. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll meet you back here and we will get the salad put together. Alright, so I've got the bread in the oven. It's toasting up, and I've got the grilled chicken on. It's cooking up. So while this is going, I'm going to go ahead and cut up all of the vegetables and get them in a bowl. And just set them aside until the bread cubes are done, and then we will put the salad together. Alright, so I took the bread cubes out of the oven and they're nice and golden brown. They're still a little hot, so I'm going to let them sit here and hang out and cool down a bit, because I don't want to put them into the salad while they're hot, because they will melt the cheese. And I've got all of my vegetables here chopped up. I've got my tomatoes, my cucumbers, bell pepper, my onion, garlic, and the mozzarella. I remember making this when my girls were younger. They would go out to the garden and pick whatever vegetables they wanted to put in it, and this was typically what they picked out to go into the salad. So that's what I'm going to use today. I just added some mozzarella cheese. I've got the chicken here. It's cooling down and resting, so I'm going to go ahead and make my dressing. Alright, to my olive oil, I'm going to go ahead and add in my Dijon mustard right in there, my white wine vinegar, basil, and some salt and pepper. Okay, now that I've got all of this in here, I'm just going to mix it up really well until it's nice and combined. And when the bread cubes cool down, we're going to add everything to our vegetables. Alright, so I went ahead and mixed up all of my vegetables, and I've just whisked up my dressing here just to incorporate it because it has been sitting a minute or two. Now I'm just going to add all of my dressing to my vegetables before I add in all of the breadcrumbs, and I'm just going to give this a little mix just to get those vegetables coated. Alright, now I'm going to add in all of my bread right in here, and then all you're going to do is just mix this up really well. And then you are good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up, and then I will make my plate, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Here is my plate. I just have this light and delicious panzanella salad. It is so good, and I paired it with just a simple, delicious grilled chicken. We love having dinners like this during the summer. It's light, it's easy to make, it's easy to put together, and on the table in no time at all. But yeah, this is what we have for dinner today. For dinner tonight, I'm going to be making hash brown casserole, and I'm going to have it with some bacon and eggs. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees, and I've also got a baking dish greased sitting to the side ready to go. So for the ingredients, you're going to need some potatoes, which I've already shredded. I soaked them in water for about 2 hours and then drained them really well, and then I just covered them with a little bit of plastic just to keep them from getting too brown too quickly. Some cheddar cheese, milk, breadcrumbs, or you can do Ritz crackers, butter. I've got an onion that I've got diced up, garlic. You're going to need either a cup of sour cream, or you can use cheddar cheese soup, and a can of cream of mushroom soup. You're going to need some nutmeg and some salt and pepper. So basically all that you do is combine everything together except for your breadcrumbs and your butter with your potatoes, and then just add it to a baking dish. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll bring you back, and then we will top it with the breadcrumbs. Alright, so I've got my hash brown casserole in my pan here. It's been greased, ready to go. All I'm going to do now is add the butter to my breadcrumbs, or you can do Ritz crackers. About 1 to 2 sleeves of Ritz crackers should equal about 1.5 cups. I'm just going to mix this together, make sure it's nice and coated, and then we're just going to sprinkle this over the top of the casserole, and then we're going to cover this with aluminum foil. You're going to bake this at 350 for about 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, you're going to take the foil off and bake it for another 20 to 25 minutes, just until it's nice and golden brown and the casserole is bubbly. So I'm going to finish this up, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's all nice and done. Alright, here is the hash brown casserole right out of the oven. It's nice and golden brown, it's bubbly, and very hot. So I'm going to let it sit here and just cool down for a few minutes, and then I'm going to make my plate, and I'll show you my plate. Alright, here is my plate. I've got the hash brown casserole here, and I just paired it with some bacon and some over easy eggs. Now you can serve this however you want, with whatever you want. It is completely up to you, but this is how I served it today, and this is what we had for dinner. Today I'm going to show you how to make my wheatberry salad with roasted vegetables and lemon vinaigrette. It is absolutely delicious, and you can either make this as a main dish or a side dish. Sometimes I will make this as a side dish and serve it alongside with some barbecue, and sometimes when I'm just not in the mood to eat any meat, I make this as a main dish, which I'm going to do today. So for ingredients, I've got some wheat berries here, and this is what they look like. Now you can find these at your local store, your local grocery store. If you can't find them at your local store, I will leave a link in the description box to the brand that I use. You're going to need some salt and pepper, some olive oil, and whatever kind of vegetables that you like or have on hand. Today I'm going to use carrots, onion, broccoli, and some green beans, but you can mix and match this any which way that you want. So I've got that. For the dressing portion of this, I've got some olive oil, garlic, some lemon zest, lemon juice, Dijon mustard, some parsley. I'm using dried parsley today because the store didn't have any good fresh parsley. So if you're using fresh parsley, use about 1/4 cup of it and just chop it up. And I've got some freshly minced ginger, or not minced, but grated ginger. So what I'm going to do first is I've got some water boiling on the stove that I've already salted. And I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. We're going to start out with cooking the berries first. You just bring 8 cups of water to a boil on the stove, season it with a little bit of salt, and you're good to go. Just add your berries, and these are gonna cook for about 45 minutes to an hour depending. Just cook them until they're tender and then drain them. And then while those are cooking, we're going to go ahead and work on the vegetables. So let's get these berries on to cook. Alright, so I've got my water boiling. I'm just going to go ahead and add in all of my wheat berries right in there. Get those few pieces out. We want them all in there. And then just give these a stir. And come and stir these every once in a while just to keep them from sticking to the bottom of the pot. And just cook these until they're tender. Sometimes it takes 30 minutes, sometimes it takes an hour. So just keep an eye on them. Now we're going to go ahead and work on our vegetables. Okay, for the vegetables, all you're going to do is add some salt, pepper, and some olive oil. Now what I'm going to do, and you don't have to do it this way, you can do it a totally different way. I'm just going to season everything and add a little bit of olive oil, pop it in the oven, and let it roast. As the vegetables get done and nicely charred around the edges, I'm just going to take them out and place them in a little bowl so that way they can cool. But you can do it a different way. You can season the carrots, onion, and broccoli and let them roast for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then add the green beans and let them roast for another 15 to 20 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. I'm not going to do it that way, but you can do it whichever way that you want. So I'm just going to season these with some olive oil. Make sure they're nicely coated in oil. And some salt. Some pepper. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of mix these up and make sure they're nice and coated in that oil and salt and pepper. And then we're just going to pop these in the oven at 400 degrees for about 35 to 45 minutes, just depending on how high the heat your oven cooks. Just going to mix these up and do that. And then when everything is nice and cooked through, I'll bring you back and we will put this salad together. Okay, so I've got my roasted vegetables here. I just got them sitting in a bowl. We're going to set those to the side. And I've got my wheat berries. Now my wheat berries cooked about an hour and 15 minutes and they're just tender. They still have a slight bite to the center of them. I don't want them so mushy where they just fall apart. I want them to hold their shape. So think of it as al dente. So I've got that there. And now we're just going to work on our dressing. I'm going to mix everything up in this little measuring cup because less dishes and it's easier. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my ginger, my garlic, lemon juice, my Dijon mustard, my lemon zest, and some salt and pepper. And then I'm just going to whisk this up until it's nice and combined. Alright, now it's just time to combine the salad. So I'm going to go ahead and add in all of my wheat berries to my mixed vegetables. Now if you want these berries to be a little bit more tender, you can cook them a little bit longer. You can cook them up to 2 hours, just according to how tender you want them. I like mine with a little bit of bite and they hold their shape. I just think it adds a little bit more texture to the salad, but they are completely cooked through. So I've got that in there. I've got my dressing all mixed up, and I tasted it, and it tastes absolutely delicious. So I'm just going to pour this over the top, and we're just going to mix this together. And then after you get it mixed together, you just want to season it again. Well, taste it first, then season it, because you don't want to add too much salt. Now, like I said, you can serve this as a side dish, or you can serve this as a main dish. I'm serving this as a main dish today. I just want something a little bit light. So that is all nice and combined, and this is ready. So I'm going to go ahead and get me a bowl and plate me up some. Here is my bowl of this wonderful, light, and delicious wheat berry salad with roasted vegetables. Now you have to remember these are wheat berries, so it takes a very long time for these to cook, but they're absolutely worth it, and it's not very hard at all. So this is what we had for dinner. It's perfect for a springtime lunch or a summer dinner. Alright, for dinner tonight, I'm going to be making my roasted broccoli slaw with my barbecue baby back rib sandwiches, and we're just going to have some fries to go along with that. So let's go over all of the ingredients. For my broccoli slaw, you're going to need some cabbage that's been thinly sliced or shredded, some carrots thinly sliced, roasted broccoli. I just roasted them at 425 degrees for about 25 minutes. They were salted and had some pepper on there, some thinly sliced onion, some roasted nuts. You can do whatever kind that you like. I've just got some roasted pecans here, some mayonnaise, some kind of dried fruit. You can do raisins, currants, craisins, whatever you have on hand, some olive oil, salt and pepper, white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, honey, and some parsley. For the baby back rib sandwiches, these are so easy. You're going to need a rack of rib, or you can do 2 depending on how many people you have in your family. You're going to need some kind of burger bun. I've just made some yesterday, so I've got them in here. Some neutral oil, your favorite kind of barbecue sauce, and some spices. In here I've got brown sugar, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, some cayenne. So I'm going to get you guys set up and we'll get all of this started. Okay, we're going to start off with our ribs because they're going to cook for about 2 hours. I've got my oven preheated to 325 degrees. I've just got a sheet tray lined with some aluminum foil because we're going to rapidly tie these in just a minute. And I went ahead and removed the skin from the back of the ribs. Just take a paper towel and start from the short end and just kind of loosen up that skin that's on there, and then just pull it off and it'll come off super easily. So we're going to drizzle this with a little bit of olive oil, or you can do, well, I've got avocado oil, but you can do whatever kind of oil that you have on hand. And just kind of mix this all on there. And I went ahead and just mixed up all of my spices in my bowl. Got those right there, and you're just going to coat this really, really well on both sides with your seasoning. Okay, so I've got this all nice and tightly wrapped up. We're going to put this in a 325-degree oven for about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours, just until it is completely cooked through and super, super tender. Alright, so while the ribs are cooking in the oven, we're going to work on our broccoli slaw. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to add my olive oil into a bowl that's big enough to mix all of this stuff in. My mayonnaise, honey, apple cider vinegar, regular vinegar, parsley, and some salt and pepper, now seasoned to taste. Okay, now that I've got all of that in there, I'm just going to carefully mix all of this together until it's nice and well combined. Alright, now that I've got that all mixed up, we're going to add the remaining ingredients to our mixture here. So in here I've got some cabbage that I've just got thinly sliced, along with some roasted broccoli. Again, I roasted this at 425 with a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, some thinly sliced onion, and some carrots. Just going to go ahead and add in the roasted nuts. They're just roasted in a dry pan for about 2 or 3 minutes, just until they're nice and fragrant. And I've got some raisins here that I just pumped up in a little bit of hot water. Now we're just going to add in all of our dressing. Now you're just going to mix this together until everything is nice and combined, and then you're just going to put some plastic wrap over this, or if you have a bowl with a lid, you can just put it in a bowl with a lid, and then just to place it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours or until it's time for dinner. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I will meet you back here when everything is done. Alright, so the meat has cooked for about an hour and 50 minutes. I just removed it from the oven, removed it from the aluminum foil, flipped it over, and then just removed some of the bones. Now I left some of the bones intact. All I did was just took a knife and run it down along the back side of the bone and pulled the bone out. So I've got some here and some with bones. All I'm going to do now is brush this side with some barbecue sauce. I've got my broiler turned on to high, so I'm going to do that and then pop it in the broiler for about 3 to 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe, and then take it out, flip it over, brush the other side, and do that again. While that's going, I'm going to go ahead and cook up some French fries to go with it. Here is what the ribs look like right when they come out from underneath the broiler. So I'm going to let these hang out here while the fries finish up in the air fryer. In the meantime, I'm going to lightly butter the burger buns and just toast those up until they're lightly golden in a dry skillet. And then I will show you my plate. Here is my plate. I just built my burger this way. I added a little bit of mayo, some of that roasted broccoli slaw, that rib meat, topped that with some thinly sliced onions, a pickle, some extra barbecue sauce, and then topped it with that top bun, and it was absolutely delicious. I paired it with a little bit more roasted broccoli slaw, some fries, and some ketchup on the side, and it was absolutely delicious. That is what we have for dinner tonight, and you guys stay tuned for next week's meal plan. Alright guys, this week we're traveling to Jordan and we're going to have some delicious Jordanian food. Tuesday we're going to have arayes. Wednesday we're going to make sumac chicken and flatbread with tabbouleh. Thursday we're going to have cake bread sandwiches. Friday we're going to have shish kebabs, rice, and hopefully a salad. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. And don't forget to leave me a comment in the comment section down below and give me a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.